Home. With us now is Dan Geltrude. He is a CPA and market analyst in New York City. I just want your reaction, Dan, because for the first time in really since February, the market was up for the second day in a row today. Maybe a baby step, but significant nonetheless, correct?
Yes, it is. Look, Trace, I don't think that we should get overjoyed right now in terms of the market has come back up. I think we're looking at something that's going to have to be more of a long-term situation. This market is very headline driven, and we already know there's a lot more headlines ahead of us. So I anticipate that we're still going to have volatility related to the market. We're going to have to be patient, ride out this storm, and not get too caught up when we have a spike up or down for right now.
Yeah, you talk about flattening two curves, Dan. You talk about flattening the pandemic curve as well as the financial curve. You know, I talk to a lot of people, listen to a lot of people. Do you think it's feasible to do both simultaneously?
It's going to be really difficult, Trace, but look, the stakes are high for both of those curves. And what do I mean by that? Obviously, we have to stop the spread of this disease the best way that we can. Of course, the other side of this is, you know, how much of a price are we going to pay economically? We cannot have the entire economy basically falter because of this. I'm particularly concerned about the small businesses, because small businesses, and I'm talking about 500 employees or less, actually employ almost half of the people of this country. And those are the businesses that are really suffering. So we have to make sure that this bill, which ultimately is going to be signed sometime this week, is going to do enough to keep them going. That's really critical for the long-term economic outlook of this country.
Yeah, we have the political debate here, Dan, because we have the president saying that he thinks, as we've heard over and over again, that the cure can't be worse than the disease. I want to play President Trump's bite, followed by what Nancy Pelosi says she thinks is the remedy. Watch both of these.
I don't want the cure to be worse than the problem itself. And, you know, you can destroy a country this way by closing it down, where it literally goes from being the most prosperous. I mean, we had the best economy in the history of our country 3 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden, we're supposed to shut it down.
As we go to the economic side of it, I think the cure is the best answer to our economy. But we have the best minds in the country working 24/7, all hands on deck to take us to that place.
You talk about disparate viewpoints there, Dan. I mean, you know, some saying, look, here's the deal. We need to eradicate this disease. But you have a lot of smart people saying if we eradicate this disease, it's going to take months. And by then, the economy is going to be done. Your thoughts?
This is a really tough one. Now, look, the populist view of this is clearly going to be on the health side. We can't have the entire nation getting sick and having a tremendous death toll. That is completely unacceptable. So everyone understands that. But at some point in time, this virus is going to pass, hopefully sooner than later. And then what are we going to be left with? We're going to be left with potentially an economy in shambles. Now, I know the president and other experts have talked about that this is going to be a V. We are going to hit the bottom, but once we get past the virus, we are going to shoot right back up. That may be the case related to the stock market, perhaps. But for me, the economic damage that potentially could happen here, I'm not so sure the longer this continues, particularly against small businesses, that they can recover that dramatically. It's really, really a tough situation here.
And I got to go, Dan, but your thoughts on the whole idea of the stimulus package going forward here? I mean, clearly a lot of people said this is a good Band-Aid, but really as we go down the road, we're going to need a lot more.
I agree with that. This is a Band-Aid. Some people are talking about this being a stimulus. It's actually not a stimulus for right now. This is just relief, and I think the government is going to have to do more to be able to stimulate this economy post-virus.
Dan Geltrude, thanks for staying up with us, Dan. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Trey.